For me, growing up, it was something that affected my life quite a bit. You know, I'm first generation, and we lived in a small town in Ohio. It was just surrounded by white people. I love white people, but that's all there was, you know? And I just remember feeling very much out of the norm. And never really focusing on how I looked. I just focused on studying. I was a really good student. And it wasn't until adolescence, which I think this is a lot of, comes up for a lot of girls, is this feeling of wanting to belong, right? And part of how you belong is that you wear the certain makeup and your hair's a certain way. And I had this kind of hair then, but I didn't know what to do with it. So it was just kind of like a frizz ball. And everyone was kind of feathering their hair and all this stuff. And I thought that was cool, but I was like, I don't have time for that. I'm going to go study my math, you know. But there came a point where I just thought, you know, my mom was like, well, do you want to go get your hair cut? And I thought, okay, you know, I'll give it a shot. Like, I don't know what I'm doing with my hair. And the hairdresser did something, and it just kind of feathered. And I remember going to school, and all of a sudden, it was everyone's best friend. And I thought, this is so weird, because some of these girls were making fun of me for years. And all of a sudden, you know, I was invited to hang out at recess with them and things like that. And it bothered me a lot, because I thought, I'm the same person inside, and they didn't like me then. Is it just because of how I look now that people find me interesting? And I didn't like that, you know, because I was the same person inside, and I wanted people to like me for that. But that said, I got caught up in it because I wanted to belong. But there was this emptiness associated with that was palpable. And I think gratefully, because I had a great support structure, like as I grew older and went to college, I continued to explore this, who am I from the inside? But I never forgot that, and I saw it affected many people around me, people with eating disorders, you know, people going to great lengths, taking hours to get ready, you know, and it's very easy to think that that is the key to perhaps happiness or belonging. But at the end of the day, you know, when you go to the grave, you don't go with any of this. You go with all these memories and things that you built with your life. But I think that's really hard to grasp when you're young, you know, and you don't realize the potential we have as human beings to, you know, make a difference in the world. It was definitely like fodder for a battleground on a lot of levels, because especially when I was trying to fit in and I wanted to go to the dances, I actually wanted to do some of the things that normal girls do, boys do, you know, and then because I think my family was also very protective, because we were the first ones here, and they didn't really know, like, if she goes to a dance, what's going to happen to her, kind of thing, you know, and so I think I went to greater lengths to, you know, I was kind of very Degrassi. I don't know if you've ever seen that show, where I put the makeup in the bag and go to school and put it on during, you know, before homeroom, you know, and then wash it off before I went home, and so I lived this double life, and that's part of, I think, being first generation of any, you know, race. You continue to live this double life, even if you're not going through the motions of putting makeup on and off. Like, even now to this day, you know, at my age, I go back to India and, like, I'm seen as the American, and here I'm kind of like, well, what are you? So there's always this, what are you, you know, question, and a lot of that is because of the physical, you know, and despite the fact that I think I didn't fall into the trap, there was moments where I was definitely like some legs in the trap kind of thing, you know, where I was going and, you know, thinking that if I buy the white rain hairspray, like, you know, maybe I'll have a boyfriend if I wear this lipstick and da-da-da, and, you know, all of those things. Now in hindsight, I've said, well, that's all overrated, but then how do you get this message to younger girls that you're actually more than that, you know? And I think it can be very dangerous, not just with people trying to look a certain way to fit in, but demoralizing. It takes up a lot of your thought, your time, your energy.